Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I'm gonna go on and ramble about some of my Hot Wheels cars. Now things have been a little hectic, I've been a little busy, so it's been about a week since I made a video. But I'm not here to make excuses, I'm here to make another one because I have been to the store, well, a couple of them, and I picked up a couple of new cars, although things have been kind of slow because they have a bunch of bins, but all the cars that I'm seeing lately are old models, like last year stuff, and even stuff from the previous year, which I'm surprised that it hasn't been picked up by any kids or, or anybody yet. But I did pick up a couple of new cars, and I also chose an older one to show you. I've been going through rearranging my boxes basically to make some order in there, and this one happened to be in my Asian box, obviously, because it's a Nissan. It's a Nissan Maxima. Now, I don't think they make Nissan Maximas anymore. The first thing that sprung to my mind when I read the name Maxima was the Nissan Altima, so I confused those two there for a little bit. Those Altimas are truly legendary cars in the USA, not so much over here in Central Europe where I'm from, but this one in particular is the Nissan Maxima, and it is a drift car. It doesn't like tell me anything much more about the car than the fact that it is a modified drift car. I have no idea what year it's supposed to be or anything like that, but it is a wagon, and it is from the Hot Wheels wagon series. I'm not sure if I have any other ones from this series, but personally I do love wagons. I'm not a big fan of large cars, but the wagons are not typically large. They are, most of the time, wagons are actually the same the same length as a sedan version of the same car. They just have a bigger trunk, therefore they have more space. They're easier to park, and they are sort of easy to drive. I had a couple of wagons in my life, but I've never seen a Nissan Maxima in my entire life with my own eyes, because I'm not sure if it ever actually made its way into Europe. But I'm glad to have this little Hot Wheels car, which looks super cool. I really like the sort of off-white color of the car itself. I love I'm not sure if I should call them 3-spoke wheels or 6-spoke wheels, because they look like they have 3 spokes, but they're actually divided into, each spoke is divided into 2 like separate pieces sort of, but I'm gonna go ahead and call them 3-spoke wheels. They remind me of, I think it was Koenig that made the MP3 model. Like, there are wheels out there called Koenig MP3, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were even in Need for Speed Underground 2. They looked a little weird, but they really do a good job sitting on this car. I believe very fitting. I think it does have a couple of details from the bottom, and it has a nice livery. I really love the design. Like, this is really nice to see the transparent bonnet with the with the exposed engine over there. And to my surprise, it actually also has the Japanese style wing mirrors next to the bonnet in the front of the car, which is something that was pretty much, I want to say, only on Japanese cars, but I'm probably gonna be mistaken. But it's mostly known for being on Japanese cars. One little weird thing about this car in particular is this big like beam going through the like through the back of the car for some reason, like it's the rivet. It's riveted to the bottom. This is where the bottom is riveted to the rest of the car, and it goes through the back like this, and I've never seen that on any other Hot Wheels car. I'm not sure if that's something that they missed or if it's there on purpose. It honestly doesn't look like it's something that's done on purpose. It's probably a mistake, I imagine, or maybe they couldn't find a way around it to make this car. I do like the large Nissan logo sort of here on the front, and I think this is like a Hot Wheels design. It doesn't look, maybe I'm mistaken, but it honestly does not look like something that someone's built, but it may be inspired by it. Now, it's definitely very cool to see a drift wagon. I would love to see and hear how this sounds in real life. So if anybody has any references to this car in real life, I would love to actually see that. Now, that's from my older collection, and these 3 I actually picked up in the store. Honestly, I had trouble picking up cars lately because there haven't been very many cool models that I don't have. Now, this was the only Audi Quattro from 1987 that I've seen. There was another from the 90s versus 70s series, but somebody picked up the car and only left the card in the bin, so they just like stole the car basically and just left the car there. And I was really looking forward to getting one of those. I think that was an Audi 80 or another type of Quattro or something like that. It's from the 70s versus 90s series. And I would love to get my hands on that one. Maybe I'll get lucky another time. Now, this was the only Quattro that I found in all of those bins. Like, there must have been hundreds of cars, honestly. But all the Audis and all the new stuff was, well, most of the new stuff was basically picked out. This is not a treasure hunt or anything like it. It's just a regular Audi in a nice azure color. I really like the way they did it. I like the details on it. You got the Audi logo on the front. It says Quattro on the license plate. You got the marker lights. Well, those are fog lights, not marker lights. And the blinkers. The large white wheels. Sort of very true to the original. I mean, I can't imagine the Quattro coming out from the factory like this. I suppose that's why they put it in the factory fresh series, which is one of my most favorite, because custom cars are cool, but stuff that comes out of the factory looking as nice as this is always really nice to see as well. I'm not sure if they came in any other colors, but if I'm ever gonna see one in like white or red or something like that, I think I might actually pick that up, because it's really nice. And you don't see these cars anywhere anymore. Like, those are really rare, especially the Quattro versions. Now, the next one that I picked out recently is the McLaren F1, which barely fits inside its own case. Now, it's a shame that I didn't find one in the Marlboro white color, which is my favorite on these. I remember it mostly from the 2010 Need for Speed Hot Pursuit game. You can't modify the cars in that Need for Speed game, but you can always pick the color. And it usually comes with all the colors that you could pick from the factory, and one of them is like their special shade of white, which was always my favorite to see on these cars. And it does have some details. It says F1 on the back, as it should. It's got the lights color, it's got the exhaust visible in the back, and yeah, all this stuff happening on the front as well. Really nice, really beautiful sound as well. Like, honestly, the 2010 Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, one of my favorite racing games, one of my favorite Need for Speed games, and that's especially because of the sound design in that game. Now, this car sounds unbelievable in that game. Honestly, I've never seen one in real life. I know that Mr. Bean has one. I did talk about it in one of my previous videos, because I do have an F1 sort of a GT version with a large spoiler and all that. It wasn't in one of my previous videos, so I know I have a couple of these, or at least one more that I know of. But now they made these Hot Wheels the 90s series, and I do like cars from the 90s, and who doesn't love the F1, right? I mean, I'm not saying it looks bad or anything in red, but personally I would definitely prefer the one in the Marlboro, God, I can't pronounce that word, Marlboro white color. That is genuinely my favorite. And yeah, based on the fonts used on this car, this is last year's model from what I can tell. Although the Hot Wheels modified, they do have some like 50s or 60s muscle cars in that series that I also picked up previously. But I believe this one was produced since last year, because the font is different on the McLaren Solus GT and the McLaren F1. I think, or am I mistaken? Hold on, let me take a better look. Okay, so it looks like the McLaren F1 is also the slimmer font from last year, but the Audi is this year's model, because they did change the font a little bit to make it slightly, like they made it slightly thicker, so that's how you can tell. Now, I was a little surprised to see this. I was also surprised that it's not a treasure hunt, it's just a regular McLaren. Apparently, I actually did Google this car because I've never heard about it before, and if I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be like a one-off car from McLaren, something like that. But when I first saw it, I was like, wow, is that a treasure hunt? And I checked, and it was not. It was just a regular mainline McLaren. So I decided to pick it up, and the thing I personally like about it is that it reminds me that in Burnout 3, you had these Dominator type cars. Like, you had a series of cars, and the fastest of each of the series was always the Dominator, and they always had these flame decals. Not that I'm a big fan of like flamey decals or anything like that, but it's just very reminiscent of that for me personally. So yeah, McLaren Solus GT, I picked this up recently. I think it was last month in January at some point. And yeah, nice to have it. I'm still very surprised that it's not a treasure hunt the more I think about it. And yeah, one-off car. Supposedly there's only one of them in the world, probably put away to be viewed at some kind of museum or exhibition or something like that. Or in my closet, in one of my Hot Wheels boxes. So yes, that is cool to have. And yeah, I'm really hoping that next time I go to the shops, there's gonna be like a new, you know, haul of Hot Wheels cars available. I'm just happy that they make so many of them, and I'll see what I get next time. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, let me know. I'll talk to you next time.